Okay, a lot has happened. I had a power outage this morning and my battery backup worked, but they've been breaking everything. They broke my hat. I haven't had time to sew it and fix it. That fell. And then after the power outage, this clock is now broken, so I don't have a clock, but at least I can see what time it is on the computer. But yesterday, some of my Patreon supporters went to San Diego. And no, that earthquake that happened there was not a regular earthquake. Let me read you the letter that I got from Magnus the Red. Dear Gail, as you know, we plan to perform a trial helicopter food delivery run today, Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. The following is a report about the events that unfolded after the delivery of food to a San Diego apartment building at approximately 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. We waited until after noon because it was unrealistic to expect any of the recipients in the community to be awake before then. I saw fit to oversee this operation personally, with assistance from Brad and Garbage Man, who was usually too retarded for field work. Despite the fact that Garbage Man's Mexican parents abandoned him and he was adopted by white people, he would be a valuable asset in interpreting the cultural signals that we were going to face. Per your instructions, we loaded a Black Hawk helicopter with several pallets of our vacuum-sealed food. We disguised our helicopter as a news team helicopter to avoid interlopers or potential chimp-outs. However, this helicopter was destined for the Barrio Logan, the preeminent Mexican neighborhood in the city, so chimp-outs were unlikely. The helicopter took off from our distribution center in Escondido and flew without incident all the way to our destination. This building was 4 stories and contained 20 individual family-sized apartments. It was fortunate that the apartments were so amply sized due to the large, numerous families contained therein. Knowing that each Mexican family was likely to have anywhere between 5 and 12 children, we included customized portion recommendations to make each box of food suitable to any sized family unit. Hovering above the apartment building, Brad took out his tactical binoculars and surveyed the area. He noticed truant children playing soccer in the street, shady characters exchanging even shadier packages, and women of the night walking around in broad daylight. There was also a mobile Tajin vendor, T-A-G-I-N, with a long line of customers. Garbage Man informed us that Tajin is a popular Mexican seasoning product containing a chili lime flavor. Dozens of Mexicans exchanged crumpled dollar bills with the vendor, who was dressed in a festive poncho and sombrero. Sombrero. I actually took Spanish in school a long time ago, so I'll be better at pronouncing the Spanish words here than I was with the other video the other day where I don't speak Indian, okay? Once the helicopter set down on the roof, the crew unloaded the pallets. We delivered each box and were met with several muchas gracias, which Garbage Man stated means thank you, or actually thank you very much. Like I said, I took Spanish. Some doors did not open. We assumed that empty apartments meant recent immigration and customs enforcement or ICE raids, but we were not certain. Despite the constant annoying kakaboom, kakaboom beat that emanated from each dwelling and the myriad boosted speakers in every idling car, we were quite surprised that we faced no particular issues. We sighed a breath of relief at the lack of sabotage or chimp outs. It was probably the first time any of us were relieved to be in a Mexican neighborhood. Garbage Man then had a surprisingly good idea. Why don't we stick around and see if anyone messes with the food? Wow, what a great idea, Garbage Man, I said. I guess those anti-retardation shots are really working on you. I gave the fake news helicopter the order to remain on standby. With the crowd below going about their business as before, we relaxed. We made contact with the Church of Gail through our helicopter uplink and requested advanced scanning of the area. Nothing amiss here, the observer said back nonchalantly. Nothing, I asked? Nothing, over. Brad shrugged his shoulders. Let's do one more visual sweep and let's be on our way. We returned to the 4th floor, scanners in hand. Every box that we left in front of possible empty deportee apartments was untouched. However, the hallways were surprisingly still, despite the continuing kakabunk beat in the background. Our scanners showed that previously occupied apartments were now empty. Where did all these hombres go? Brad asked. On the 3rd floor, we finally found our first inhabited apartment. Scanners indicated a whole host of people inside. As stated above, this was not unusual due to large families with many, many children. Huh? What's that noise? Garbage Man asked, pressing his ear against the door. I configured my scanner to amplify sound detection. A soft rumbling honk, honk came through the speakers. I guess they're snoring in there, huh? Lazy bastards, Brad grunted. Getting this food for free and sleeping the day away. Right then, an ear-piercing squeal ripped through my scanner speakers. We jumped back in a defensive posture. Weapons at the ready, Brad. Garbage Man, get back. Anyone need help in there? I shouted, rapping on the door with my knuckles. The squealing got louder. Hearing no spoken response, I backed up and positioned myself to kick the door down. If there are Mexicans in there starving because pigs are eating their food, at least they'll be eating some bacon tonight. With a firm boot, the door went down. I rushed in with my handgun drawn and Brad provided overwatch. From the entrance hallway, I could see that the living room was a veritable pigsty. Countless Modelo cans and empty bottles of Tajin were strewn about. Chewed bones were piled in the corner. I guess they celebrate Dia de los Muertos while striving for realism here, I thought to myself. It appeared that this family had eaten through all of their vacuum-packed food as well. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw the sole of a tawny foot sticking out from behind the corner. My heart in my throat, I swiveled my hip in the direction of the foot and looked at where I expected a person to be. I froze. Before us was an abomination. A nearly 700-pound Mexican woman lay on her side, her fat folds nearly obscuring the couch behind her. On the front of her body were 6 barrel-sized hog teats. At each teat was an obese Mexican child suckling. 5 more children wriggled between the others, clawing at the ones feeding. She squealed in rage upon seeing me, her porcine nostrils flaring. Suddenly, a gigantic brown fist burst through a wall adjacent to the hogsican. A bullish Mexican man with tusks jutting through his lower lip crashed through the wall, shattering it to splinters. He stopped and scraped his foot on the ground in an intimidating stance. His hulking, porky form, the neighbors are working on something, so just ignore that noise. His hulking, porky form rippled with fury, and he began to charge again. Brad fired the first shot, striking him in the shoulder. This did not deter him. Hold on a minute, I need to do something here. Okay, this did not deter him. Where am I now? Okay. We dove for cover in separate directions as the Boer man struck the kitchen cabinets. He rebounded with beast-like conviction, ripping a chunk out of the Formica countertop. He threw the chunk in Brad's direction, knocking him to the ground, unconscious. I fired more shots into the Boer man, to no avail. He scraped the floor again and tackled me into the kitchen counter. Oh, where am I? Oh, here I am. Okay, into the kitchen counter. Oh, yeah, okay, where am I? To the kitchen counter. Oh, damaging my mouth. The Boer man hovered over me, raising his fist to deliver a death blow. All seemed lost in that moment as blood filled my mouth. Garbage Man appeared in my blurry peripheral vision. Oye, mira, he shouted. The Boer man turned. Garbage Man was holding a purple bag of Fuego spicy hot chili pepper and lime-flavored Takis. He chucked the bag toward the window, and the Boer man instinctively rushed in the direction of the fine Mexican delicacy. His massive undulating size carried his momentum, and he trampled through the living room straight through the exterior wall of the building. A massive thud below, and he fell to his death hissing. Brad rose slowly from the ground, rubbing his head. He readied himself, grabbed one of the empty bottles of Tajin, and quickly put it in his pocket as evidence. Get up, Magnus, Garbage Man shouted. He was right about the Tajin. The Hogsican had rolled onto her flabby hindquarters and swiped away her offspring, her teeth squirting out a dribble of milk. She struggled against her obesity to get to her feet. If she strains, she'll fart and will become retarded, I urged. Gas masks on! She stomped a foot, squishing one Mexican piglet into the carpet. His internal organs, shot out of his rear and painted the wall. The Hogsican roared a deafening squeal, Tengo hambre! And seized the closest child. She wrapped him in a Mediterranean pizza and devoured the little burrito boy. She quickly gobbled up 4 more of her children, leaving gallons of blood and sauce trailing down her hideous form with every piglet burrito she engulfed. She grew larger and larger. Standing at 1,000 pounds now, her slow, thunderous footsteps shook the building. Knowing what poor Agent Casey had experienced in West Virginia, we were prepared. Run before she explodes, Brad yelled. We turned to split and heard Ayuda emanating from the closed bathroom door. Ayuda means aid in Spanish. Garbage Man heroically ran past the Hogsican and opened the bathroom door. Several Mexicans sprinted out into the living room at border-crossing speed. When Mexicans have a proper incentive, it's amazing how much work they can put in. We all escaped the apartment and down to the 2nd floor. We heard commotion beneath us. This is ice! Open your doors and come out with your hands up! Damn it, Brad swore. The Mexicans behind us began chattering. What are they saying? I don't know. One Mexican man tugged at my tactical vest and began pantomiming with panicked movements. I don't understand, I said, exasperated. My scanner interpreted the motions in speech. He's explaining that Senora Alvarez, the Hogsican we encountered upstairs, had come to his door to ask if he had any spare Tajin. He had just bought some from the vendor outside and was happy to share with her. He spent some time there talking to her, and she devoured an entire Tajin sprinkled onto our Casca salad, our Mexican pancakes, and one of our unknown Japanese dishes in one sitting. When he turned to leave, she struck him over the head and locked him in the bathroom. Over the ensuing minutes, she kidnapped several other neighbors and locked some in the bathroom with him. The rest she tore limb from limb, dipping their pieces in salsa. ICE agents began storming the second floor. Several agents armed with man-sized butterfly nets easily scooped up the Mexicans. "Stop!" one agent barked, pointing to Garbage Man, noticing his Mexican tan skin. "Wait! He's legal! He has white parents!" I yelled, pulling off my gas mask, and looked at him with pleading eyes. "All right, get out of here, you three," the agent commanded. I pressed the button on my comms unit and ordered our helicopter to relocate for extraction on the roof across the street. Just then, the ceiling gave way. The Hogsican appeared above us for a split second, arms and legs spread eagle in a luchador wrestling poise. "Ay, ay, 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 arriba!" she squealed as she plummeted straight through the hardwood, landing down below us on the first floor. We peered down through the Mrs. Alvarez-shaped hole in the floor and noticed the concrete where she fell began to crack. A telltale rumble preceded a familiar Californian phenomenon. "Earthquake! Abort mission!" the ICE agent bellowed. The stairwell choked with fleeing illegal aliens and ICE agents alike. We were not sure what the Mexicans were more afraid of, the incoming earthquake, the Hogsican monster cannibal, or their inevitable forced return to their homeland. Outside, the street split in two. Panicking women of the night failed to stabilize themselves wearing their 6-inch stilettos. A truant child chased his soccer ball into the ever-increasing chasm, lost his footing, and fell into the nothingness. The Tajin vendor's cart slipped into a crag in the ground, and the vendor began making a run for it. Several fiending Mexicans hurled themselves at the cart to take the last of his stock. Brad sprinted after him. "Stop right there, Jesuit scum vendor! You have violated conspiracy law." Brad tackled the vendor, but the vendor slipped out of his poncho, evading his grasp. Brad's gas mask slipped off and fell to the ground. The vendor turned to us and said smugly, in a dramatic Spanish accent, "Not now, chicos. I serve a greater cause." He reached into his sombrero, pulled out an orb-like device, and smashed into the ground. A cloud of Tajin filled the air, burning our eyes. "Hasta la vista, anticristos!" He tipped his hat and sneered, his pencil mustache forming a straight mocking line across his pale face. He pressed a button on his watch, slipped into a wormhole, and disappeared. Behind us, the apartment building began to crumble. The cannibal Hogsican, buried underneath, braced herself against the rubble and with preternatural strength broke through to freedom. On all fours, she sniffed the air and detected panicked prey to eat in all directions. As we rolled in pain on the floor, desperately wiping our eyes with our sleeves, I saw a blurry figure in the distance. A bipedal chicken about the size of a human let out a shrill "Baka!" and disappeared into Chicano Park. The earth began to quake anew, and the Hogsican bounded away to safety, leaving a slime trail of milk behind her. A few seconds later, we heard her fart blast in the distance, and several Mexicans fell from the sky with a wet thud. That ruinous fart explosion was the last we heard or saw of the Hogsican. As the tremors slowed, we got to our feet. We saw the ICE agents dragging survivors into paddy wagons for immediate deportation. No matter their circumstances, only in death does duty end. After returning to the Church of Gail, Brad handed the Jesuit vendor's Tajin bottle to the medical team. Analysis confirmed that the Tajin residue contained both D-N-Avery and ghrelin. We currently believe that the unassuming Tajin vendor sold tainted seasoning to the Mexicans of the neighborhood with the intent to infect them. Mrs. Alvarez was one such victim who became the cannibal Hogsican. As with Ruby Campbell in West Virginia, the D.N. Avery caused her to balloon in size and fueled her to her endless hunger. Her obese husband displayed clear signs of retard rage. He must have inhaled her gas and suffered frontal lobe atrophy. As we encounter further D.N. Avery infectees, we must remember that the danger is not restricted to exploding, farting, fat women. The retards in their gravitational wells also pose a significant danger. The location of the Hoxican is currently unknown, though rumors of a new countryside beast known as La Chupagordita has been blamed for the disappearance of local chihuahuas in Tijuana. Brad, Garbage Man, and I are being treated for D.N. Avery exposure. We have not felt any great effects, and Dr. Spiner states that our hunger is merely from a morning of hard work. We are expected to make a full recovery barring any DNA damage from the substance. As for the Taj inventor, he was certainly a Jesuit agent. His actions contributed to the goals of the reborn thin privileged terrorist organization, which are the obese terrorists behind the Boston Marathon bombings in 2013. The Jesuits' audacious use of a wormhole to evade our grasp points to automaton cooperation. The war against the enemy continues, and here is Brent Spiner's perspective on all this. He had a nuanced perspective. He said it's not good that the illegals were leeching off the system and taking money that didn't belong to them. But the children are blameless and they deserved to eat. ICE deported everyone at the end of the day, so at least they went home with full stomachs. Now we don't have to waste resources feeding them anymore. Yet they wouldn't have been vulnerable to the D.N. Avery-laced Tajin if they didn't expect the free food and stole from the system. We did the moral thing to help starving children, and then justice was served. We are blameless for the Jesuits harming or killing some of them. And now on to a positive note. I wanted to read you some of the victories that we've had. Here's something that Magnus the Red also wrote. Hi, Gail. We are at war, so I think some positivity is in order. No matter what the enemy throws at us, we always get back up and hit them hard in return. With our rollout of the Food for the Needy program this Monday, we saved countless lives. Updated data shows that we were able to feed 17.2 million people. That is roughly 41% of all of the EBT recipients in this country. Many more could have been saved, but for sabotage from the enemy and chimp-outs in the urban areas. Out of approximately 11,000 drivers, 1,482 perished in areas suffering chimp-outs. 6 drivers in chimp-out zones survived. The below are I'm going to go ahead and read 4 testimonials that we received from our efforts. This is a letter from Kimberly Park. Excuse the noise, they're doing something upstairs and it's noisy, okay? Dear Church of Gail, I am a person who used to be homeless. I was just able to get an apartment here in Portland, and I just got some welfare to be able to eat. I was homeless for 9 years. When the Trump administration started to tell us that our EBT and SNAP and food stamps was going to get shut off, I was like, wow, how will I eat? I'll be homeless again. Thanks to you, I'm food secure. When my food stamps and benefits got cut, I had to figure something out. I went to local animal shelters and adopted dogs so I could make pretty free bonsan-tong, which is a Korean soup my grandma used to make. I adopted 7 different pit bulls and put their meat in the freezer just to survive. Bonsan-tong is pretty tasty, so I wasn't too pressed about it, but I knew I couldn't do this forever. But I had to do what I had to do as a former homeless meth addict. Someone was going to find out. Thank Jesus Christ that the Church of Gail delivered me my food package this week. Now I have 2 pit bulls that I didn't eat, and they have become my best friends in the world. Their names are Becca and Flocka. Love, Kimberly Park. 2. Letter from Darnisha Powell. Grand Rising Church of Gail members and their leader, Gail Schuler. Praise be to God on the highest that Church of Gail exists. I am a Bible-believing Baptist, and I just know you are a blessing from the Almighty God. I have been living in my town in South Carolina for my entire life. I have seen this community plagued by gun violence and crack. Poverty has been the greatest killer of all. I am a 76-year-old proud black woman, and I cannot help myself but to hesitate to admit any failure of my people. I cannot stand the violence that has plagued your fine church's attempt to perform acts of charity. I am raising 3 of my great-grandchildren on my own because all of my children are dead. My one son died in what you have called a chimp out this week. He pulled a knife on his neighbor and was shot 8 times. He died bleeding out on the street. God knows that he was a good boy, but with a bad streak. My other son was horribly injured in a riot that occurred 9 years ago at a Popeyes where a rape occurred. He died shortly after. Lord have mercy on us all. Thank you so much for your efforts. As I am raising my great-grandbabies, I needed all the help I can get. When I got my food delivery, I was safe once again. Praise the Lord Jesus the Christ. My pastor, a firm believer in the Black Lives Matter movement, was hesitant to thank another white savior for coming to our aid, but eventually he did. He slammed his fist on the lectern in our church at Tuesday worship and said, Y'all best thank this woman, Gail Schuler, because our community failed ourselves today. When the rapture comes, you surely will be in the greatest host of heaven. Reverently, Darnisha Powell. 3. Letter from Darren Green. Sup, Church of Gail. I think that's what it says. Okay. It's your boy, Darren Green, coming to you straight from La Crosse, Wisconsin. I just want to say thanks for the food. I'm a disabled dude. I'm a quadriplegic and can't feed myself. I can't work and get disability plus other stuff. I was paralyzed when I was in prison for molestation of a minor and was beaten up in the showers. I was released after serving 7 years. I found Jesus in prison and went home with a plan to turn my life around. I can't move or do nothing much of anything, so I mostly just sit here. I was afraid that due to being a sex offender, I would starve when I heard about the cuts. No one cares about a guy like me, but I'm born again and put my faith in God. God sent you guys, and now I am able to survive again. I can't prepare the food on my own, but my grandma comes and prepares the meals. Thanks for the stuff. Best, Darren Green. P.S. I watch 00 on cable every day, and I know the truth about what's going on at those compassion centers. I believe in you guys' mission, and I know you'll succeed. I also read some of your books, and it inspires me to get true love of my own one day with an adult, don't worry. 4. Letter from Ezra Lichtman. To whom it may concern, I am a Holocaust survivor who was saved again from death thanks to you. I thank the Lord every day that there are good goyim like you out there caring for the needy. I was born on the floor of the showers in Auschwitz and managed to survive, unlike the rest of my family who were put in ovens. I have lived a long life of joy in this great nation which has given me so much. I know that when the Messiah comes, he will bless those who bless Israel. You have blessed Israel this November with your charity. The Church of Gail was so accommodating as to provide me with delicious kosher food that was just like my bubbies. I am so happy that the morals handed down to the world by the Jewish people have penetrated so deeply. You may not know, but there are many Holocaust survivors starving and poor in this world, and there seems to be more and more Holocaust survivors in need every year. Thank you for your mitzvah. and I will pray to the Lord that you are given a seat at the table near the chosen people in the end. Blessings from the Lord of Israel upon you. Sincerely, Ezra Lichtman. Okay, so I've given you some important background and information. And I just wanted to let you know that we have decided we are going to attempt helicopter drop-offs. Okay? Helicopter drop-offs of food in the urban areas, and I think everywhere. So I just wanted to make that announcement. In fact, I might change helicopter drop-offs. Yeah, we are going to be trying them now. I would recommend that you not take any food from any strange vendors. Yeah, okay? So let's just hope that those Jesuits don't cause too much trouble, but we are taking every precaution that we can, and we are doing our best. Okay, so I just had to let you all know about what happened. Oh, another thing. This is important. We want to make today a Memorial Day for the drivers who died on November the 2nd, Sunday, November the 2nd. I've already started making the memorial. I was doing it in alphabetical order, but the people at Church of Gail are going to make a memorial, I think, with rolling credits, with some background music, so that's coming. But today we want to observe a day of respect for the people, the truck drivers who gave their life heroically to try to feed the hungry, caused by this Jesuit orchestrated government shutdown. Yeah, obviously this is part of their plan to try to take over the world and blame their criminal actions on us. Okay? So yes, today is going to be a Memorial Day for them. So we ask everyone to observe this day as a Memorial Day for the one, I think it was 1,482 who were murdered in the line of duty trying to feed the hungry. And there will be another memorial video coming. And we're going to try to consolidate all the states into one video and just get a rolling list of everybody who perished trying to feed the hungry. Let's see, where am I now? Yeah, okay.
In a world of secrets, where darkness reigns, there's a warrior rising, breaking free from chains. She's Gail Schuler, her heart pure and strong. With the power of love, she'll right the world's wrongs. Yeah! She's the first, a passionate crusader. Inspired by the sun, they'll conquer it all. Through space battles and trials.